Hey, Damon, what's up, dude? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Curt.
How are you, man?
I'm good. It doesn't look like you're in the typical broadcast studio.
Doesn't look like I'm in my boring basement background, does it? Looks a little different, got a little glare, right? So how's it? Dude, I'm excited today. Can you tell?
Awesome.
So,
Well, you're sitting here with one of our friends. It's awesome to be able to meet with people in person. Oh, watch out for the seagulls.
we might get attacked by the seagull. So,
Yeah.
Dude, happy Monday. How was your weekend? Good
It
weekend?
was awesome. Awesome. Great weekend.
Great weekend here. So, hey, I am with my dear friend. He's right here. He's in person. He's right here. He's right next to me.
Look at that.
The one, the only Adam Baker is here today, dude. Happy Monday. How are you?
Happy Monday. Well, you know what? I'm much better now. I had a nice meal. Get to hang out with you guys.
Oh,
I
gosh.
can't beat it.
Dude, this is like just so good. So Adam offered to come on the program. You know, he needs to be a better judge of character, Damon, you know, but he joined us on the program today. And I just, in all seriousness, Adam is just such a dear friend, war hero, veteran, Air Force captain in the service, just served our country proudly. Thank you for your service. Just a fierce advocate for entrepreneurs. We just have so much to unpack today. So Adam, let's kick things off. Damon, should we just kick it off?
Let's just get going.
You know what? It's a beautiful day. So I'm here. I'm on Chautauqua Lake in New York. It's just absolutely breathtaking view. It's a perfect day today, and I'm just here with you. I'm here with Adam. So Adam, when you're a little boy growing up, who was your hero? Who was your hero when you're a little guy growing up? He's a Pittsburgher, by the way. So he's a Pittsburgh man. So who was your hero?
I don't know if I ever remember having a hero as a kid. I think as I got older, it became my mom.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I'd love to tell you some cool story of some hero, like some fireman that saved my life. But
That's so funny.
My mom was a mucker and a grinder, and just she had to balance a whole bunch of stuff, and I was just as I got older, I was like, man,
she's your hero.
Yeah.
Hey, you did it.
Yeah.
What a great answer, man. So, hey, Mom, Damon, I know our moms are heroes, to us. And hey, how about this, man? We got a fellow Pittsburgher here is in the house today. So, hey, maybe and think about maybe one of the Pittsburghers, right? Maybe but what's Mom's name? Becky. So, all right, big shout out. We're dedicating the program to Becky, and we've got a ton to unpack today. So, guys, we're with Adam Baker. We have so much to uncover. So let's go here. So, Mom's a hero. Yep. And dude, you go off into the service. Talk to us. Let's go through that journey going into the service. I know you're a Pitt grad, right? Duquesne, master's degree, correct?
Yep.
And goes into the service. Let's hear that story.
So I went to service right out of high school.
Nice.
All of us did. All of my mom's kids, we all went to the service. That was we kind of figured the way she rolled the house, it was easier to go to boot camp than it was to live with her anymore. So we all left with each other.
Service was a piece of cake, right?
Yeah, she prepared us well. But left for the service, ended up getting stationed in Oklahoma, working out in the airfield in Oklahoma, and had some really, really good leaders that invested in me.
Nice.
Had an opportunity to get out and go back to Pitt and get my degree and get my commission. So did that, went back in, tried my hand at flying. I suck at flying, so if you ever see me at the airport, I hope I've got luggage and not a flight suit. So I wasn't very good at that, but I had an opportunity then to transition to a leadership role, leading about 50 young airmen doing security forces, doing nuclear security. Ate that up. I loved it because I could then pour into them what others had poured into me.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then had a chance to deploy to Iraq and work a special project in Iraq. Did that, and that in about a minute and a half encapsulates 8 years in the service.
Wow.
So did you say nuclear security?
Yes, nuclear security.
That's kind of serious stuff.
They didn't know me. I wouldn't trust myself around nuclear security.
I was going to say, that's pretty serious stuff.
Yeah. It was such a cool. It was so different because I really like getting into the gray areas and the creativity. And nuclear security is no gray whatsoever. It's black.
Yeah.
It's white.
Yeah.
And everything is really well defined. So it was just an interesting experience that I probably wouldn't have sought after on my own.
Yeah. Okay, man. All right. And we can't go past. Let's take that another step further. Just out of curiosity, any particular stories, like anything you want to share your experience for Iraq. Again, thank you for your service, guys. We're here with Adam Baker. Drop us a note. Let us know that you're out there. You absolutely want to connect. Hey, Diane Byers. Diane, happy Monday, my friend.
Yeah, I
mean, I get to meet Diane. I'm meeting Diane next month, so I can't wait to meet her.
You know, that'd be bad.
I'm just trying to meet everybody in person, Damon. I'm just going on the road, man. So
there you go. Yeah, because I was thinking back to the nuclear security. I mean, you wouldn't want somebody to, you know, be in a groggy state, waking up and hit the wrong button. That's not the right thing,
Damon. That wouldn't go well. No, so, all right, young guy. You know, what first impression? You land in Iraq. Like, let's go there. Like, what was what was your experience?
Can I be honest?
Yeah,
I had to pee.
I had to pee.
It's a long trip.
It's a long trip. It's a long trip, right?
So you get out there though, and it's very different. It's highways, nothing really there. But everything actions we have with the people.
Okay.
So we were at a forward operating base. There was a community just south of us, but they were hit pretty hard by insurgents. And so what would happen is we had a medical facility. There were no real other medical facilities there. So these children that, you know, they were driving, they maybe get hit by a roadside bomb. They're charred. Their parents are bringing them to our facility to try to take care of them. So the way the civilians appreciated us was very different than the way it was portrayed on the news, you know? So it was different. It wasn't what I was expecting right off the bat. What was really interesting though, is the reason I went over there is we were doing it was cost reduction. We wanted to see how do we reduce the cost of the war fighting effort without reducing our ability to fight the war. And so I got to be part of a team that's what we looked at. We said, you know, everything was on the board. Like, what can we do? And so my part was we ended up hiring Ugandans who were kidnapped as children and learned how to fight. But then as adults, they didn't know what to do with that knowledge. So we hired them as contractors. That way we could release some of the military personnel. They took over security. And they'd sign a 3-year contract. They'd make about $2,000 a year. After those 3 years, though, they could go home and retire as kings.
Right.
You know, they'd never had to work another day in their lives.
Right.
So it benefited everyone. And so when you talk about like what did I learn, that was the moment I realized like there's a way to reduce costs without impacting efficiencies and where everyone can win.
Right.
And that was just cool.
Right. Man, you carried it right into your career because we're going to dig into cost reduction here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But all right. So great. What inspired you to go to Pitt, Duquesne? Let's get into a little education piece here.
So I went to Pitt because it was close to home.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I was leaving Oklahoma. I was homesick. I just wanted to get back home. Pitt was 20 miles away from home. So I was like, Pitt's an easy decision.
Sure. Yeah.
Duquesne, shout out to Duquesne. They have what's called the Yellow Ribbon Program.
Okay.
And what they say, Duquesne's a pretty expensive school. What they say is if you are a veteran and you use your GI Bill, we will cover the rest of your tuition for you.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
cool.
So I was able to use my GI Bill. They covered the rest of it. It was great. I was working in Erie at the time, so I'd have to drive down on Saturdays, do all my schooling. So it took a little longer, but we got it done, and it didn't cost me any money.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
man.
That is really cool.
What an inspiration. So, all right, great stuff here. So, all right, Pitt, Duquesne, captain in the Air Force. What made you decide? Like, what was your exit strategy from the Air Force? What did that look like?
Yeah, I didn't really have one, to be honest. Yeah, it was just it was jump and hope you had to shoot.
Yeah.
So I had a couple job offers. So I targeted moving back to Western PA just because that's what I enjoyed. So I had a couple job offers, some in Pittsburgh, one in Erie, and I'd never lived in Erie before. And so I told my wife, hey, let's give it a shot. If we don't like it, we'll leave.
Yep.
You know, we moved to Erie and we fell in love with the community. We said, we'll
nice.
Never
Yeah.
You know, so that's what brought us to the Erie community.
Oh, that's awesome. Married a fine young lady from Montana. And so I know your mother-in-law is visiting you right now. Right. And so
shout out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Judy may be the best mother-in-law in the world. You know, she's terrific. So she was married to a Green Beret officer in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
So like she wrote me letters all the time when I was in Iraq.
Did she?
It was just, she's really, really thoughtful. So shout out to Judy.
All right, man. Damon, so it's just a great chat here or what, man? So
yeah. So we're at, this is going on the side.
Yeah. Please.
We're at in Montana. is your wife's family?
So Damon, I think you'd be familiar. So I always tell her if she was any more east, she'd be a North Dakota girl. She's right there in Sydney.
Oh, yes. I've been in Sydney.
Yeah,
we talked about this before.
Population 3,500.
3,500, man.
Yep.
Hey, well, hey,
stay there.
That's awesome. Hey, we got a couple comments here. Say, hey, he is all Pittsburgh. Adam is all you need. Let's make it happen. We've got Diane. Thank you for your service. Air Force, straighten up and fly right. My dad. Right. I love it. Hey, big shout out to your dad there, Diane. So, all right. So let's slide in. So you get out of the service, you start working for a utility company.
Correct.
So let's go there.
Yeah, I started working for a utility. My first job was really leading crews remotely, because when I was doing nuclear security, all my men were spread out over about 400 miles, so I couldn't see them, so we had to lead remotely. So I had that opportunity, did well. I have an analytical background, so I got picked up to work for the president of the company as his business analyst.
Wow.
And so I've got all these fun projects. Then I moved on. I led the line shop, so all the linemen fell under me. And then ultimately, I was moved over to leading the metrics and performance improvement teams. So we looked at, how do we reduce the cost? How do we improve our efficiencies?
Yeah.
And so, which was right up my alley.
Right in your DNA. And talk a little bit about like the leadership that, like, did you have mentors, leaders that you really looked up to, admired from the service in Iraq that you brought into your job as a leader at the utility company?
Yeah. So it's funny, I had a friend in college who said, you can take something away from every person you meet, good or bad. Yeah. And so I had some bad leaders in the service and some good ones, and each one I pulled a little bit from to kind of define my leadership style.
Right.
But when we talk about mentors and like people I would reach out to and ask questions, I had a roommate in the Air Force. I actually just saw him last week. He was in Niagara Falls.
Nice.
He was a guy that I could always reach out to and say, hey, this is what's going on. What would you do? What do you think? Yeah. He's a straight arrow, and he could just shoot me straight. So,
right.
But we were cut from the same cloth, so it wasn't a big jump for me to follow his guidance.
Right. Awesome. Okay. All right. So utility company, you're doing phenomenal. Work under the CEO. You end up transitioning. Let's go there.
Yeah. So, there were a lot of things that happened, but maybe the final straw said, hey, this is an opportunity, is we do all this work and we find a lot of savings, and when we implement it, we don't achieve the results we were anticipating. And it happened time and time again. No matter who we worked with, we would hire outside consultants, and the big reason is because we would define these plans, but it was up to somebody else to implement them. Mm-hmm. And I said, this is going to be frustrating my entire career if this is the way it shakes out. Yeah. So looking for other opportunities, I come across Schooley Mitchell, where it says, hey, we develop the plan, but we implement it and we monitor it. And that's how we ensure success.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, that's in my wheelhouse. That's what I like.
Right.
So, so I started walking down the path of, does this make sense for us?
Right. All right. So let's go there. So Schooley Mitchell, I'm actually familiar with Schooley Mitchell. The founder, Dennis Schooley, I actually had a conversation with him 100 years ago. So that was another great bond that Adam and I had. So if you're not familiar with it, it's a cost savings opportunity. It's a franchise model. And so, you go from military, you go into like big corporate, like the utility was like, how many employees?
I think we had 15,000.
15,000 employees. Ooh. And then you decide, 3 young kids, right? You're married, you've obligations, that type of thing. But you decide like you have the wherewithal and like the means of like, hey, this isn't a good fit for me. What was that leap of faith into entrepreneurship like?
So I'd push back and say it wasn't even entrepreneurship.
Right.
It was, I would say, owning a franchise is intrapreneur.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Sure.
Because I can't make up my own rules.
Right.
But I know, being in the service, I did really well. Being in utilities, I did really well. I operate pretty well inside of a framework. And
great
I find
point.
That's what. I'm not smart enough to create my own thing. But
join the club.
But I do have enough confidence to say, well, if someone has something, I think I can do it probably pretty well.
Right.
And so that's why I looked at that and said, I think I could succeed here.
Right. So still entrepreneurship, right? Like you're that paycheck goes away, right?
Yeah.
And the franchise doesn't like, here's money. What is right?
No.
So walk us through that transition of like, you come home or like you have a conversation with your spouse, family, mentors, kids. what was that transition like?
The big conversation was with my wife.
Yep.
So my wife and I are on two opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yep.
Like I will take a leap of faith, and if it works out, it works out.
Yeah,
if it
yeah.
doesn't,
Yeah.
My wife is very risk averse.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you're in the utilities, no one's ever going to say, "Hey, I don't need utilities anymore." Right. So
yeah.
always
Very
need
stable.
people.
Right.
Yeah.
So the challenge was really convincing her, and she and I had lived a very, very frugal lifestyle to begin with. So we had money that we said, okay, listen, if this doesn't shake out, we've got this. In worst case scenario, Amy, if this doesn't work out, we'll move back into Montana with your mom.
Yeah.
And she said, let's do it. She said, if I can go back to Montana, we'll do it.
Move back to Montana.
And that really was it. He said, when we laid out what the worst case scenario would be,
right.
It was like, well, that's not that bad.
I think that's a Frank Zappa song, isn't it, Damon?
It
Moving
is,
to Montana, for us older guys out there. So, all right. Plan B is this. Okay. How did you, when you go to work and you're like, hey, I'm putting in my notice, were people like, dude, what are you, crazy? Or
Yeah. So, it took a lot of people by surprise.
Yeah.
They said, I'm pretty shocked that you would be doing this.
Yeah.
But they also got it. They understood that, hey, I want more.
Right. So that entrepreneur itch is just calling, and you take that leap of faith. You've got Amy behind you, supporting you 100%, all in. Her worst case scenario is I get to move back home to Montana, right? Yep. So that sounds pretty good. So unfortunately for her, you're very successful. So you're not going back to Montana. You're staying where you are. So let's dig into what is Schooley Mitchell. How did it come on your radar? And how did you decide to make that plunge into franchise entrepreneurship?
Yeah. So I got in contact with a franchise broker, and he did some analysis on me. Hey, do these personality tests, send me your resume. And Schooley Mitchell was one of the franchises that he brought to me. So as we look through it, yep, that makes sense. So so that was really it. It was between Schooley Mitchell and another franchise that does something very similar. But I went with Schooley Mitchell because we aren't limited by geography. The other franchise, they said, okay, you can have Erie, Pittsburgh, and like Harrisburg. I said, well, I'm closer to Buffalo than Harrisburg.
Right.
They said, no, that's what you get. I said, I'm not interested.
Right.
Schooley Mitchell, he says, North America is your oyster. Wherever you want to go, you go. Right. So
cool.
I said, let's go with that then.
Right.
There's also a different feel for Schooley Mitchell, and that you talked about talking to Dennis Schooley. You pick up the phone, you call the founder. He's still involved, so it feels like a family run business still. Versus a corporate conglomerate.
Yep. I love it. Okay. So let's dig into Damon. You having a good time or what? I told you this was going to be great. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's very interesting what you guys are doing. I mean, and how you help companies, reduce these costs. Oftentimes business owners don't even think about, because they're like, hey, I got to make sure that this customer gets what they want, or this supplier didn't deliver, and now we got to figure out what's going on. But you're like helping them go, okay, let us handle this. We're gonna go through your costs. We're gonna see where we can help you.
Right. Hey, I got to go back. Hey, how about this comment from Dan Bigger? I just noticed this one. Thanks, Dan. I feel like a movie star. Hey, talk about movie star, man. I'm hanging out with a movie star right here.
Yep.
So, and hey, when's it going to be Schooley Mitchell and Baker? That's it. Hey,
ooh, you know what? There you go.
Question. I tell you, I love when Dan shows up on the show, because he makes my job so much easier, because he he fires off other questions. But let's what is Schooley Mitchell? How do you make the world a better place? Let's go into what you guys do.
Yeah, so what we do, and I don't want to say we're auditors, because that's probably not the right word. We're more vendor watchdogs. We'll go in and we'll make sure that our clients are only paying for the things they need. Right. And there's a lot of times where you'll buy something and you don't know if you need it, but you just have it. And then you forget about it, and you just pay for it over and over again. So what we'll do is we'll look to say, okay, what are you paying for? What are you using? Let's get those things to line up first, get rid of everything else. I was telling Curt earlier, a great example is for some of my clients on trash pickup days, I'll go take a picture of their dumpster, because I want to see how full is that dumpster. Is it overflowing or is it barely full? Because if it's barely full, then there's an opportunity. Maybe we get a smaller dumpster, we reduce frequencies. So those are the things that they don't get thought about, So we'll look at those. So that's the first part of it. Then the second part of it is, okay, now let's go back and let's negotiate the rates. Now that we've got only the stuff you need, let's go back and renegotiate the rates. We'll do that with your current vendor, and then we'll go out and we'll talk to some other vendors, and we bring you back 3 options. You know, we'll narrow it down so you only have 3 options that you have to choose from. You make the decision on what you want to do, and that's basically it. After they can agree or disagree, they say, hey, no, we're not interested in any of them. That's no harm, no foul. They don't pay us anything.
Right.
If they do like one of our recommendations, then we will implement it at whatever level they want. Meaning, some of my clients say, hey, thank you for bringing this to me. I'll pay you, but I'm handling this from here on out.
Yeah.
And others say, okay, Adam, this is your baby. We want you to, you know, if we're doing a phone system swap, we want you guys being the ones that lead that.
Right.
Then after that, during the time that we're in a paying relationship, we become their point of contact for their vendor. So when they have issues with a phone, you know, they're not calling Verizon, they're calling me.
Yeah.
And then we get it taken care of for them, so they don't have to talk.
That helps in 2 ways there.
Yes.
You save the money, then you got the support.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's and so let's unpack, like, you know, and I want to be respectful. Like, you shared some really powerful examples. So again, you're an entrepreneur out there, and Damon, like we talk about all the time, you know, running 100 different directions. You know, it's just it's absolutely impossible to cover every blind spot. You just can't cover every blind spot. And so what's just so powerful is just like hearing his examples, where I'm like, you know, man, just having a watchdog that like his full incentive and motivation is to like save the company money. That's how he, you know, and he doesn't make money unless he saves you money. And so, you know, you shared a couple of examples of like, you know, maybe it's a small nonprofit organization, but all of a sudden you get underneath the hood and there's like a whole huge savings opportunity. Can like with cell phones, and can you share a couple of those examples?
Yeah. So one of my, I was telling Curt earlier, is I had a VP of a bank, you know, reach out to me. He sits on a board for a nonprofit, and he said, you know, they've got 6 people. Is there anything you can do? I said, well, that's probably a little small, but I'll talk to them. That way, at least I can give them some pointers, something they can walk away with. Well, they have 6 employees, but they have 40 some 1099s that they pay for laptops, air cards, and cell phones.
Yeah.
And so now we're looking and we're saying, and so now we're projecting like a $3,500 a month savings for them, because they're all over the board. And nonprofits and government, we tend to find a lot of help for, because they're wearing so many hats that is one of the last things that they're really going to get into. To say, if it works, leave it. We've got a million other things to do.
Right.
So that's good. A story we had. So and it sounds like I'm dogging Verizon. Verizon's a really good company. And that's not the case, but Verizon is out to make money. So one of my clients calls me. He says, he's the president of the company. He says, my phone battery will not last longer than 24 hours. I said, okay, you know, tell me about what's going on. And he said, well, Verizon wants me to replace my phone. Well, of course they do, because they're going to get you to sign another contract and buy a phone from them. I said, well, let me take a look at it. So I said, you know, and so we went through a couple things, and they said, okay. I said, I would replace the battery. Try that first. So he replaces the battery. It doesn't work. So I'm like, okay. So, well, I'm going to go replace one. So hold on. So I go out. I said, give me your phone for 2 hours. I said, I did a couple things on it. You know, I shut off the Find My Phone, because, and I'll tell you why we did that, but I did shut off Find My Phone, and I drove around for 2 hours, and I compared his battery level to my battery level, and they were the same. Like, they dropped at the same amount. And what happened was, I don't know if you know how AirTags work, but like luggage AirTags, they ping Verizon phones that have Find My Phone on them. Someone next to his building had AirTags, and they were constantly pinging his phone, draining his battery. And so Verizon wants to sell him a new phone, which isn't solving his problem.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and so those are the things that like we try to dig into, because we want to save you money, we want to save you time.
Right.
So that's, you know, those are the fun things that you come up with.
Right. Those are probably, and hey, and I'm
Dan's got a good question.
Yeah. What's the most common area where a company can save, you know, and this is, and let's unpack this. And so, you know, say solopreneurs, you're 10 and under, 20 and under, 50 and over, you know, there's probably different, you know, capacities for, you know, not one size fits all by any stretch, but what are let's get into some of the common culprits that you see.
So I would say it depends on the industry. And I'll give you an example. So car dealerships, credit card processing is the big one for car dealerships. Just if they've got a service center with them, people are paying with credit cards, they get beat up pretty bad on those. So that's one. Manufacturers, phones, because it works. You don't want to be the guy in the manufacturing firm that makes a recommendation to save some money and it doesn't work. So everyone just leaves it alone. You say, hey, if it's not broken, leave it alone.
Don't touch it. Yeah.
So
100%.
Yeah, on the manufacturing side, I always say phones. On the e-commerce side, it's shipping. Especially if you're doing B2C, B2C shipping, you really want to negotiate that every box you send to a home, you get a surcharge, a residential surcharge.
Yeah.
So you want to put as many items in one box as possible, because even if it's 2 boxes and they're shipped together, that's 2 different surcharges.
That's 2 boxes, yeah.
Yep. So put them all together, but also try to negotiate down that surcharge. That's one of the big ones we hit, and we're able to cut that surcharge in half by about 50%.
Right.
So you want to try to hit on that. Also, the weight of the packaging. Like Amazon, I know Amazon has too much money based on the amount of packaging they put in a box, because you want to fill that box as much as possible, because you're going to pay either the size of the box or the weight.
Right.
And when they sent me, iPod mini and a box that can fit a refrigerator, I know that they paid a lot for that. So it really depends. But what I would say is more, instead of looking at something specific, is just really turn on that mindset to start questioning, can this be done cheaper without reducing my service?
Yeah.
And that a great example is me last week with QuickBooks. I've been paying way too much for QuickBooks for 2.5 years, only because I didn't know enough about it and I didn't have the time to question it. Last week, I dug into it because I got another notification it was going up. I dug into it and I talked to somebody that was knowledgeable about it, and I reduced it. I'm paying 25% of what I was paying before without losing any of my service.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's having that mindset of, okay, do I need all this?
Right.
Can I reduce this cost?
Right. All right, man, tons unpack right there.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I mean, everything from the simple stuff, like you said, cell phone packages, because you look at a small manufacturer, you can easily have 10, 15 phones that you're paying for every month.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can, just.
I will say this for manufacturers. Manufacturers, if you have an elevator, check to make sure that phone line does not have call waiting. You would be surprised at how many times we find elevator phone lines with call waiting. They don't need it. They don't need it.
Yeah.
But it's on there, so they're paying it. And it's a small amount, but it's those little pieces that just they eat away at you.
Just eat away at you. And you think like, and so many software and SaaS products that you add $10 here, $20 there, $30 there, and then all of a sudden you're like, as a solopreneur, those things add up. But when you're a 10, 20, 100, 1,000 person entity, like, you multiply that, these numbers add up pretty quick, And so, just having that eagle eye again to cover these, I want to dig in a little bit on a couple of things there on the shipping. Let's talk about, for folks that are shipping, name of the show, Manufacturing E-commerce Success, so folks that are shipping, let's dig into like, how can you negotiate with UPS, FedEx? Let's dig into some of those shipping opportunities.
Yeah. So what you want to do, so FedEx and UPS aren't going to call you and say, hey, you've moved to another level. Right? And one of the things that I try to convince my clients is, you have a rep, but that rep doesn't work for you.
Right.
That rep works for that company. So he's not, I know you have a good relationship with him, but he's not looking out for your best interest. He may take care of you, but at the end of the day, his job is to make money for his company. So don't wait on your rep to call you to say, hey, your volume has increased X amount. You've now moved into this level of discounts.
Yep.
That's really on the business to go after that and say, okay, you know what? Judging by what we did 6 months ago to what we did a year ago, I think we've got more volume. Let's go ahead and let's try to negotiate this.
Yep.
That would be a big one. Accessorial fees are something that those you can negotiate. Those are completely up in the air for negotiation.
Right.
So you can go through line by line to try and negotiate them. But what's interesting about shipping, Curt and Damon, when you reduce the cost of that package, you reduce the cost of some of those accessorial fees, like the fuel costs, right?
Yep.
So you don't even have to negotiate the fuel cost just by negotiating the price of that package being shipped. You've reduced that fuel cost, so it builds on itself. So just being knowledgeable, and then this is where your rep or your broker, this is where they can be your friend. if you're finding that you get a lot of address correction fees, you can talk to them and say, hey, let's sit down. I want you to figure out how this is. If your box size, and if you're getting audits and your box sizes are wrong and they're recharging for that, they will sit down with you and they'll help you correct it if you ask them to.
Yep.
But they aren't going to call you and say, hey, we noticed this, let's fix it for you.
No, because that's easy money.
That's exactly it.
Right.
That's exactly it.
Easy
But if
money.
you ask them, they want to keep you, so they'll help you.
Right. Yeah. And when you're, because there a lot of e-commerce shippers are shipping thousands of orders every week. If you're doing D2C, right, you're going to easily thousands. And, auditing every single shipment to see that every single shipment was build correctly. First of all, just build correctly. And then to that all the associated charges were negotiated down as low as they can. It's huge.
So, Damon, this will blow your mind, but our team used to do that line by line manually for every one of our. So now we've built software that way. Every Monday morning now we just download our clients' files, put it in there, and it flags each one that, hey, this one's wrong, this one's wrong. But we did that manually, and it's not something that anybody wants to do. No one in your organization is going to volunteer to do that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh my God, dude. So 100 years ago when I had my e-commerce business, that was one of my tasks. Like I would sit there every, and like our volume started, we were shipping some decent volume, and I'd sit there, and that was like when dim weight, if you guys are in shipping, you're that came into play, like the oversized back then, and
higher per certain weight.
I would eke out like every credit, but like how much time did I spend on that? Where like I wasn't working on my business, I'm working in my business trying to save $100 on my on my weekly UPS bill. So this is what a great service that you're providing to help folks. Let's slide into credit card processing again. So for folks that are, Dan, you and your wife are absolutely killing it with your business. I love what you're sharing on LinkedIn, but those credit card fees can just really not even nickel and dime, man. They add up per transaction. How can any tips and advice on how people can really attack that credit card opportunity?
Yeah. So let me start with the disclaimer is that you've got to be very, very careful in that a lot of businesses are doing surcharges, right? Or cash discounts. And you'll see the little sign by the register that says, if you use a credit card, we're going to charge you X amount. Visa just released that if they've got criteria that you've got to abide by. And if you don't abide by it, they can do a few things. Either they can say, we will no longer allow you to accept Visa credit cards, or we'll fine you $25,000.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of people are trying to find a way to absorb, to offset those fees because they are getting so high.
Yeah.
That I would be very, very careful when someone says, hey, we can implement, a cash discount or a surcharge fee. So that's the one I would say.
That's a great tip.
The other is you can negotiate on the processing fee. So what typically happens when people are accepting credit cards, they'll say, oh, my effective rate is 2.17. Don't worry about the effective rate. You want to know what are you paying for each transaction, because that's what really matters. The credit card processing, there's a few things that go into it, but the big important pieces are the credit card company wants a piece of it and the processor wants a piece of it. The credit card companies, you're not doing anything about. They set their fees in April and October, and they are what they are. The processors, however, you can negotiate those. The struggle is finding out exactly how much your processor charges you. And so, there's ways to do it depending on how you're set up, but you want to find out what is your processor charging you, because that's what you want to negotiate. And if you're a company, manufacturer is a great example. You do high dollar amounts but few transactions. That's where you want to go to a lower percentage but a higher per transaction cost, like a flat rate for your transaction. I'll pay 15 cents per transaction if this gets me down a couple percentage points, because that makes a big difference when you've got a $1,000 purchase. Those are kind of the levers that you pull on. Just the opposite for restaurants. That doesn't make as much sense. You'd rather go the percentage and take the per swipe down.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
And it's amazing too, because I've helped some clients do this in the past. The complexity, again, just like shipping, credit cards.
It adds up dramatically, man. Hey,
does.
Whitney Houston is here today.
Whitney.
So hey, Whitney,
Awesome.
happy, here she is up here. So Whitney Houston, happy Monday to you, my friend. And a couple of comments, Diane. Customer and supplier relationships are two ways. Both companies get busy and don't have time to follow up. Best way, bottom line, to do exactly this. Love it. Absolutely. What's Dan say here? There are also other payment methods like Venmo and others that do not charge fees. Yes. Yes, you are very correct.
You're right. It's
So a lot of other opportunities. But again, on e-commerce, those variables, you're stuck with your fixed expenses. Boy, if you can attack those variables and just get those down and dirty, and just, and it's really just doing some due diligence and trying to determine, okay, what do I have time to do? I always get accused of stepping over dollars to pick up dimes, Damon, that. But when you can align with an expert, like Adam and his team at Schooley Mitchell, and they can pull that off your plate, they have your back and just cover those blind spots. Let's go here. What are others? We're talking shipping, credit card, cell phones, any other things that you want to throw out there?
Waste is a big one. So waste is a big one because nobody pays attention to it. But let me give you some rules of thumb. If your lid doesn't close, you've got too small of a bin, they're going to charge you for it. Your lid has to shut, or they're going to charge you an overage, and they're happy to do that.
Oh, wow.
If there's a bag outside, they're going to charge you an overage, right? So make sure everything fits inside of there. But also make sure when they pick it up that bin is full. You don't want them coming because waste is similar to shipping. Waste has a lot of accessorial fees. If you can get that dumpster cost down, it reduces all those accessorial fees as well. And the other thing to try to negotiate up front is waste is if you can get into the waste business, get into the waste business.
It's
darn near impossible to fail because every fee that you incur as a company, you can pass on to your customers.
Right.
Yeah. So what you want to do is when you're looking at your contract, you want to try to negotiate. What they have is they have inflationary rates that they can increase every year. They leave it in there. You want to put a cap on that. All right. Because what happens is their cap is like 25%. You want to cap it at like 8-10%. What does that do? It darn near guarantees that they're going to raise your rates 8 to 10%. But what it also does is it protects you from going all the way up to 25%, which is what you could do.
Yeah. Dan. What a bunch of garbage. Yes, that's true. Well, so one of the things that we were able to do in some of the past companies I managed is, you really have to look at what you can recycle. And that changes too. I mean, what you can recycle changes because depending on demand, but we in some of the places where we were doing like wood products, there's a ton of waste, but there's also a ton of recycling if you find the right places. And man, you can be throwing big dumpsters out, roll off kind of things a couple times a week if you're not careful, and taking that from a cost and turning it into just a break even is a wonderful thing.
Right. Yeah. If you can find someone to buy those or take those, that's the best, because here's what happens with recycling. Recycling has what's called an RMO, a recycling material offset fee. So because waste management's all over, we use waste management. When you recycle, waste management has to pay someone to take that, typically China. Well, China says, well, it's costing us more to break this down, so we're going to charge it to you. Well, every good waste company says, not to me, you're going to charge my. So they'll hit you with a recycling material offset, and that charges all the time based on what they pay. Wow. So it's almost to the point where you say, how can I get rid of this where someone will pay me, where they will take it for free? That way I don't have to recycle it. I don't have to go to the dumpster. Those are the best case scenarios that you can run into.
Right.
Yeah. But if you're gonna, Damon, you're right. If you can't get rid of it free or for some money, try to recycle as much as you can, because it'll be cheaper than your dumpster.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go here. So Adam, it's in your blood, in your DNA, saving folks money, like how rewarding is it? Like, just share some of the success stories, just like when people are like, oh my God, dude, thank you. And like, what are you hearing clients like with the savings, what, other opportunities that they can slide into?
It's funny. So the way I know they appreciate, no one really ever is as excited about the savings as about the time and effort that we saved them. Like if you read the testimonials that folks write me, they always talk about like the time and the time and energy and the knowledge that we give them. That's what they're most excited about. I know they like the money savings because they open up other categories. Say, hey, will you look at this? Hey, will you look at But that's really, I think the money piece is nice. It's like, okay, that's what kind of what made us do it. But I think they really appreciate the fact that we take care of them after.
The educate, like they know you care.
You
know, you're educating them, you're taking care of them. And I always said, when I talk to my accountant, I'm always like, you know what? I don't have a problem paying taxes. I have a huge problem paying unnecessary taxes. You know, so like everything we're talking about are these, hey, I'm going to pay my, my accountant used to say, like, hey, I want to pay tons, pay your UPS driver thousands because that means you're shipping tens of thousands. But I just don't want to ship I don't want to pay any unnecessary thousands. You know what I mean? So, I love the success stories and the showing that you care and so on. So talk about the future. And then the last question I want to slide into is he got his veteran business owned certification.
Oh, cool.
God bless him. So again, guys, if you're just joining us, drop us a note. Let us know you're there. Most importantly, connect with Adam Baker. He can help any entrepreneur nationwide. He has free reign. He helps you with dramatic cost savings. But what are you excited about for future moving forward at Schooley Mitchell? What's on the horizon?
So we've just partnered with a couple different organizations. That they focus on things that are a little different than us. We've partnered with one that they work with manufacturers to flag all of the government subsidies that they qualify for.
How cool is that? Right?
There's tons of those.
Right. So we partner with them because they can help them get the subsidies. We can help reduce costs. So they're getting money, from a few places. Partnered with another one. They work with the government to help them get money from their delinquent taxes. So that's interesting because it opens up some different possibilities for us. But you talked about my veteran-owned business certification. That took a long time to get, and I'm really proud of it because now it opens up the opportunity to work with the state and the federal government. When we go back and we look at specific industries of who do we save the most money, government, we find the most savings.
Oh, do you?
We do.
Oh, wow.
We find the most savings for government. Now here's the thing that we have also found is that our government entities will not talk very highly of us. In one of my school districts that I got, he told me, he said, Adam, because I said, hey, if I do well for you, will you write a referral for me? He said, no. And I said, why? He said, because every voting person in this municipality is going to come after us saying that we were mismanaging.
Yeah.
It's still what everyone else says. So our government clients, they, if we do really well for them, they don't want anybody to know.
We'll say school district in the Northeast. We'll keep it really very.
Well, it's funny because the one school district I have, they said, no, give our name out and tell us because I saved them like a couple $100 a month, but they call us all the time to handle their Verizon issues. So they're making out on it. I mean, they definitely won that one. Tell everyone we did it.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that in itself is just, I think Diane had a nice comment here. Adam handles what your accounting department cannot handle as they are handling those issues that have been more significant priorities. However, these hidden expenses, man, isn't that the truth? Like they're like just like little piranhas, like nipping at your toes. Greatness in action. Diane, thank you for the wonderful comments. Dan says, I'm sure the government is Dan, come on, the government.
Couple bucks.
We won't. We won't go. This is a gold mine for you. Yeah, that's awesome. So again, congratulations on your veteran status. And this is just so if there's a company out there, there's a contractor, there's a manufacturer, and say they have an opportunity to bid on a nice exciting project, especially that falls in Adam's wheelhouse, they can align and partner with Adam, and he can be, forefront contractor, subcontractor, so there's multiple ways that he can partner with people. So this is really just, so well deserved for serving our country and, what you went through in Iraq and what have you. What a just wonderful benefit for entrepreneurs to take their business to the next level. So congratulations to you on that.
Thank you.
very, very exciting. So, all right, guys.
I feel the love.
Tons of love here, man. And Damon, what a beautiful. So, if you guys, if you came in, like, man, we're hanging out. We've got a beautiful. Look at the view, Adam. Is this Damon? This view.
Once this closed down, I'm not leaving.
It's a beautiful day. Beautiful last day of July. I can't, like, what the heck happened?
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. So, hey, let's see. Can we without messing up everything? Let me see if I can show. Can I show everybody? This is the view that we have here. So how's that look? Just a wonderful view. We had nice little lunch here. Just thought we would share it with everybody. So, all right, let's start winding down here, Damon. I know. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to everybody here hanging out with us today. Again, share this
Diane
with friends,
and
family. Any veterans, any friends of yours that are veterans, entrepreneurs. Share this. If you have entrepreneurs, manufacturers that are looking for cost savings opportunities, boy, get them in touch with Adam. So, dude, you're Pittsburgh, right? Is that what you said? Yeah. Steelers. Yes. Yeah. Are you Pirates? Yep. Are you Pirates fan?
Oh God, I am. It hurts.
It hurts. Does it?
It hurts.
Damon, I don't know. Are you a baseball fan, Damon? Just a little bit, right?
I've watched a couple games.
You watched a game or two. So, Damon, as a matter of fact, when Damon and I met, I'll never forget. You were coaching Connor, your son, in baseball, and that was like one of our big connections. You know, we're diehard baseball fans. So I've been to a few Pirates games, you know, and oh my gosh, I was there. Barry Bonds, I was there for a playoff game back with Bobby Bonilla and all those guys, Andy Van Slyke. So I was back in like the late 80s, early 90s. But let me throw a hypothetical at you. Okay, it's just purely, I'm asking for a friend, Damon, right? Just pure hypothetical. Let's say we're hanging out at the Pirates game.
Yep.
And I don't know, there's a guy on second base, and it's bottom of the ninth, and it's tie score. Like the Pirate, it's tied score, bottom of the ninth. There's a guy on second, and the manager's standing there and like I got it. Like he's got like a dinner appointment. Like he's got to get it. We got to win this game, right? So he turns on the bench and he looks and he sees Adam Baker, and he's like, Adam Baker, get up to the plate. Can you hit in this winning run so I can get out of here? As you're walking up to the plate, what's your walk-up song?
Oh, man. Oh. What's
your walk-up song when you got to hit in the game-winning run for the Pittsburgh Pirates?
So the song that gets me pumped up, it's so funny. I don't even know the name of the song. It's the Kid Rock song, the Ball with a Ball, whatever. I don't even know what the name of it is, but you put that.
That's what it's called, actually, I think.
Yeah.
You hear the bass and you're just like, oh, I'm ready to go.
Dan Baker's going to Google that for us, so let us know. So Kid Rock, Damon, that's the first time we've had Kid Rock on the program.
Yeah, that's the first time for Kid Rock.
It's on the record. Adam Baker's walk-up song is Kid Rock. So now from now on, every sales call we want Kid Rock in the car, right? When you're walking you walk into that sales call, right? We're going to get a little Kid Rock going.
Yep, that's awesome. That's all you can use.
All right, man. All right, so we're going to wind down. So, dude, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Man, this was just what I tell you. It's just, you know, when you pre-COVID, this was like, what's a big deal? We're just going for lunch. But, you know, when you come out of COVID, it's just such a blessing getting together with folks in person. And you know what, Dan Bigger, where's it? Baby Elephant.
The Baby Elephant song.
Eminence Front. You know what? That's for us older guys. That's the Who right there. So that's I love that song. That's a great walk-up song. So, hey, we want to give a big shout out. Everybody out there, please connect with our dear friend Adam Baker. He is here to save you money, make you money, make your life look so much better. So, wonderful dad, veteran, war hero. It's just such an honor and blessing to be in his circle. Such a pleasure having you on the program. So, Damon, we're going to enjoy the rest of this beautiful afternoon, dude. So,
have fun, man.
Hey,
it looks
we
awesome.
got a great gig on Friday. Nicole Donnelly's going to be back on her vacation. We've got a wonderful guest from Obtessa. So, hey, Whitney, Houston, I definitely got to come to Houston and hang out with you. I got to come see Wesleyan. So we'll make that happen.
In the wintertime, not in the
summer.
Come in the
wintertime. Yeah, we might wait for it's a little bit cooler. So anyway, maybe October, November. So, all right, guys, we're going to close out the program. Wish everybody just an amazing, incredible week. God bless you. We'll see you Friday. Damon, thank you, brother. We'll see you soon.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thank you, guys.